Hey, what is up guys, and welcome to my Festival Phenoms banner review video. It's been a while since we got some new dark characters, and we just got two new ones here along with a brand new 5-star dark dragon. Do keep in mind that these characters are not limited. They will be included in the permanent summoning pool, so skipping this banner is what I recommend doing. However, if you do need any of these characters or the new 5-star dark dragon, then this is a great opportunity to try and summon for them since they are focus rated up. Anyways, let's take a look at their skill sets and see what they bring to the table. Let's start things off with Yaten. He is one of 3 Dark Sword characters right now. He's the first 5-star exclusive one. Comparing him to Berserker and Rodrigo, as you can see, Yaten dominates them in the strength stat. HP is a bit lower than Berserker's, but that's obviously because Berserker is a defense unit. There's pretty much no question that Yaten is better than these other 2 sorties. Berserker is very tanky, but his kit doesn't have much damage to it. On the other hand, Rodrigo does deal decent damage. Don't let his 3-star rarity fool you. He has 2 damage skills with decent damage modifiers and a passive strength buff ability. He's actually a good dark DPS character to promote. The only issue that I have with him is that his kit is pretty linear and quite boring. Now, unlike Rodrigo, Yaten actually has some interesting skills and abilities, so let's take a look at them right now. Starting with his skills, he has Festival Rush and Bold Blade. Festival Rush costs 2,818 SP, deals 4 hits of 206% shadow damage and increases the user's energy level by 1. In addition, when Yaten is energized, then this skill will deal 6 additional hits of 69% shadow damage. Alright, so the base damage on this skill is not amazing, but it's good. It only becomes really strong if you can use the energized version of it. The good thing is that stacking energy on Yaten will be easy to do. He's really good at stacking energy on his own if you take a look at his skill 2, but I'll talk about that real soon. For now, let's focus on skill 1. My only gripe with his skill 1 is the animation. Now, I actually summoned Yaten and played around with him for a bit, so this is coming from my personal experience. Some minor issues I have with it includes number 1, end lag. There's some lag towards the end of the animation. It takes a short split second until you can start moving your character again after using the skill, and that can get annoying at times. Number 2, at the end of the animation, Yaten jumps back away from the target. Sometimes it puts him in a distance where his auto attacks cannot reach, so you have to reposition yourself to get in range again, or you are required to use a force strike to close the distance, which isn't difficult to do, right? But if you take into consideration that small end lag that the skill has, performing a force strike immediately can be tricky at times. But other than those couple minor complaints, it's not a bad skill. It has a reasonable SP cost, decent damage, and it gives him energy, which Yaten greatly benefits from because of his abilities. Now, Bold Blade, his skill 2, has a low cost of 3,636 SP. Again, that's extremely low for an S2. It increases the team's energy levels by 2 stages. Yaten is now the first dark character that has a widespread energy buffing skill, so he's kind of unique and valuable for certain teams in that sense. If we combine his skill 1 and his skill 2 together, this means that Yaten can give himself 3 energy stacks after just one use of the skill 1 and skill 2. Like I said earlier, he's highly capable of stacking energy very quickly on his own. Now, a minor con on this being his skill 2 is that if you take into consideration what the 5-star Dark Sword has as a skill, then Yaten only has 1 damage skill due to the fact that the 5-star Dark Sword has a self-defense buffing skill, and it doesn't even have much synergy with his kit. Yeah, I understand that the 4-star Dark Sword has a damage skill, but the 5-star Dark Sword will still be better for him just because of better stats alone. But anyways, even though the 5-star Dark Sword doesn't have a damage skill, that's fine. You should still build that weapon for Yaten. The reason is because it doesn't matter what the skill is on the sword. Yaten shouldn't be using the sword skill at all because of how his kit is. He's got 2 skills that has low SP cost, and he wants to spam those skills and stack energy for himself and for his teammates. That's how his kit should be used in my opinion. Just generate SP and spam his 2 skills and only use the sword skill for emergency iframing. Now, his abilities are a bit interesting. He's got 2 energy abilities and paralysis res. Energy equals strength and crit rate gives him strength and crit rate as his energy level increases. The max bonus is given when the user is energized or has 5 stacks of energy, and that buff is 20% strength and 8% crit rate. Basically, Yaten is going to grow stronger every time he has a stack of energy, so this is even more of a reason for him to skip out on using his weapon skill and focus on stacking energy with his skill 1 and skill 2. He also has Energized Strength, which gives him 20% strength for 15 seconds when the user is energized. So at 5 stacks of energy, Yaten is going to get a total of 40% strength and 8% crit rate. That's actually really nutty. Do keep in mind that once you use up the 5 stacks of energy by using his skill 1 when he's fully energized, he will lose out on all his passive buffs gained from his first ability. However, he'll still retain the timed 20% strength buff from Energized Strength because that's a visible buff, unlike his first ability, which seems to be a passive buff. So all in all, I think Yaten is a solid Dark Sword character that's worth summoning for if Sword is the main weapon type that you like to use. He doesn't necessarily have to be on an all energy team, even though that's what his kit is revolved around. He actually pairs pretty well with bleeders because energy amplifies the damage done from bleed if 5 stacks of energy is used on the bleed skill. So pair him up with Yasu, Sazanka, and or Botan. All 3 of those bleeders are great alongside Yaten. Aside from bleeders, I mean energy benefits everyone, so he works well with everybody else as well. Next up we have Natalie. She is our second 5-star Dark Blade following the ever so popular Yasu. They both have identical stats, but their kits are entirely different. Let's take a look at her skills. She has Defiant Dance and Clean Slate. Defiant Dance is kinda costly, being at 3247 SP, which is okay considering the potential damage this skill can output. Normally, it deals 3 hits of 354%, which would be excellent damage if the SP cost was a bit lower, but for 3200 SP, it's just fine. But where the skill really shines is when Natalie is at low HP. This skill works kind of similar as Veronica's skill 1, where the damage of the skill 1 increases as the character's HP decreases. The maximum amount of damage that Defiant Dance can deal is 3 hits of 708%. That's crazy damage. If you are able to consistently get her low enough to deal the maximum, then she's going to deal big deeps. And getting her to low HP requires very low setup because of her skill 2. Clean Slate costs 6000 SP and it has basically 2 different effects depending on Natalie's current HP. If she's below 30% HP, then all debuffs are removed from Natalie and she also gains a 15% strength buff. Then if her HP is above 30%, then this skill will reduce her HP to 20% and it will grant her a 1-use Divergent Shield that nullifies damage less than 80% of the user's maximum HP. So both effects are great for Natalie. If she's above 30% HP, then this skill reduces her HP to 20% just like that and increases the damage done on her skill 1. And then when she's at low HP, and if you can maintain that low HP long enough to reuse this skill, then she's going to get a strength buff, which of course is always great for increasing the user's overall damage. As for her abilities, she has extra energy, paralysis res, and HP below 30 equals strength and attack rate. Extra energy grants an 80% chance that the user's energy level will be increased by 1 additional stage. It's good, but nothing too crazy, right? If she's paired up with Yaten, then she shouldn't have a difficult time stacking energy, but this ability does help her quite a bit when she's the only energy buffer on the team. Now her other ability is the star of her entire kit. She has an ability that increases her strength by 20% and attack rate by 10% when she is below 30% HP. That's extremely good. You can basically think of her S2 as a skill that grants her 20% strength and 10% attack rate for 6000 SP. And I believe this is a passive buff, so it won't go away unless her HP is above the threshold. Since her skill 1 is her main damage skill and it kind of costs a lot, the attack rate buff from this ability helps her quite a bit. It'll help her generate SP a little bit quicker so she can spam her S1 more frequently. Now the problem with Natalie is that if you use her for, let's say, High Jupiter and she ends up on a team with a healer, then it becomes a little bit awkward since healing Natalie will essentially decrease her damage output, so she's not very flexible when it comes to fitting into team comps. I mean, I guess she could just use her S2 to bring her health low again, but she'll have a hard time getting that strength buff from her skill 2. I'm pretty certain that it'll be possible to use 4 DPS with no healer versus High Jupiter, therefore if it is possible, then Natalie will probably end up being the queen of speedrunning High Jupiter. She's just very good at speedrunning anything in general. She's probably a great character to use for Light Mercurial Gauntlet as well. I still think Yasu is the better blade because bleed is just so strong, but it depends on the content. Yasu will excel in longer fights because of just how bleed functions, while Natalie is going to be better for shorter fights. She'll still be decent for long fights as well, but she's better for the shorter ones. She's definitely a strong unit and worth summoning for even if you already own Yasu. They both can share the same 5-star Dark Blade and they excel in different types of content. Alright, the last thing to cover is Shinobi. He grants 70% skill damage and 20% strength, just like Konohana for flame users. These type of dragons are just slightly worse than 60% strength dragons on most characters. There's a very few specific characters that are indeed better with these skill damage dragons. The notable units in the dark element are going to be bleeders such as Yasu, Sazanka, and Botan. The reason is because not only does skill damage amplify the damage dealt from bleed, but energy does as well, like I mentioned earlier. In fact, these bleeders actually deal more damage with Shinobi equipped than Merishiden. Shinobi, I would say, is the second strongest dark dragon right now. He's conditionally better than Merishiden, but he's also less flexible. For example, Shinobi doesn't pair that well with regular axe characters like Curran because Curran doesn't have a bleeding skill and axes generally generate SP slower compared to the other weapon types, so they can't abuse skill damage as much compared to the others. The skill Shinobi has is also very good. It does some damage and it energizes the entire team. Just stack Dragon Prep on everybody and you're going to be able to transform into Shinobi very early on in the fight. Use the skill and everybody on the team becomes energized, and if your team consists of 4 bleeders, well, let's just say that the enemy might just bleed to death. He's a very strong dragon. I think he's actually the star of this entire banner. Merishiden is a limited dragon, so she's very difficult to get. With that said, Shinobi is basically the next best dark dragon available. And that's going to be it for this review. Let me know what you guys think about these guys in the comments down below. I always enjoy reading all the comments. Good luck on your summons if you do plan a summon. I hope you guys get everything that you want. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.